All right, good afternoon to you and welcome to the program. It's Good Afternoon Ghana, and as we continue, we proceed to analyze matters of the day. This afternoon, our focus is on, unpacking what happened yesterday with Occupy BOG, all the fallout. We're going to get into it and see how far the minority will go with its demonstration that it led to the office of the Bank of Ghana and all that happened after the demonstration or the protest had ended. We'll be speaking with the MP for Medina, Xavier Sosu, that is Francis Xavier Sosu, who had also been in the middle of some controversy following some comments that he had made and issued an apology letter. Basically on the demonstration, we'll speak on that in the future of what that will be looking like. Also, we'll have ASEPA to join us. Mensa Thompson, who is the executive director for ASEPA, he will join us. And Bernard Mona is also a member of the PNC. He will also join us, who was also part of the demonstration. Palgrave Boachidankwa will join us in unpacking what has happened so far and what he thinks of it. He is in charge of governance, security, and governance as well. He was speaking on the matter that has come up and is affecting government now, and tell us what government will be doing going forward. My name is Ania Fompofo. We'll take a breather. When we come back, we'll get into the discussion. Thank you for joining us again. This is Good Afternoon Ghana. Let's take you down memory lane, what happened yesterday concerning the hashtag Occupy BOG, led by the NDC's minority in parliament and some members of the public as well, hundreds of thousands of persons, flooding the streets of Accra to support that demonstration, to drum home the demand of having the governor of the Bank of Ghana step down.
Addison, and the deputies here. Wamu wia sika na omunsa mu ade wamu ana ombetra hode a ye ne wamu ebechi ayam ye ko ni asan ba tell declare as a higher crime scene nyanu na prosifo abetwa ha hia eti ye kwa wamu nyina ha na wamu cordon e ha no na wamu protect say higher crime scene. Sayamba mwa kwa mfono mfriwa yada yana na akwara osiwa mani mamena no bentwa empane toda enti yapuma bentwa no babia hadisi wobia no yadi betua no kakadura yadi betua no opa Jesus sorry free akonwa no so no kope ne ba bitra oko IMF Bosombe now I'm kura da obepon obeje krata no enunti adamase.
In exactly a year and 3 months, the people of Ghana will have the opportunity to make sure that this government that only has shown that the only thing they can do is to show selfishness, greed, this government must give way for the sake of the future of our country. As the minority leader said, this battle is not for you. It's not for me. It's for the children of Ghana. It's for the generations that are behind us to ensure that this governance that we see in the last 7 years, we no more have a repeat of this kind of government.
We expect Ms. Governor Addison to resign, he and his 2 deputies. We have had enough of their destruction. We've had enough of their chronic corruption. We've had enough of the looting, and we have had enough of the destruction of livelihoods. As we speak, this is a governor who has illegally printed 77 billion Ghana cedis without parliamentary approval, violating Section 30 of his own act. This is a governor who, after printing illegally 77 billion, has managed to make losses of 60.8 billion cedis. Negative equity of 55 billion. And in the midst of all the mess, the collapse, the depletion of our national reserves, this governor says that this is a time to be building a new office. Can you believe that? What does it take us for? This guy has absolutely no respect for Ghanaians. He thinks that we are yo-yos. He thinks that Ghanaians are stupid people, that he can come destroy our central bank and then build for himself a new head office. And look at the scandal associated with that office. It starts at $81 million. That is the approval he got from the PPA. As we speak, that project is now in excess of $300 million if you add the cost of the land. I mean, why does this happen?
Wallahi talai, we are not joking. Wallahi, we are not joking. Tio, yena nanom, tio, yena nanom. What you say? You see, yena ra ya sasini, eya boarding di mayen, mojana na nanu shegui, nyade tu homayen. Edru mini usu. Eya mojana nkrofo shegui ya mudi nya Ghana di tu ho. It is yena ya yedin yena tifie na obi asro se oh posinti a. And yet yena na Ghana. Amini
and the deputies here, Wamu Ria Sikana Munsa Muade. Wamu and Ambetra Hodia, Yani Wamu, Ebechi Ayam. Yanko, near Sayamba. Sami declare as a higher crime scene. Yanuna prosi for Abeka Hasia. Eti Aqua, Wamunina. Now I'm cordon a hano. Now I'm protected. Say a higher crime scene. Now you're quite saying, say I'm Pamua Cromford and free war. Yada, Yana. Na Aquara, or so many Mamenano. Bentua, Empane Toda. Enti Apuma Bentuano, Babia Addison Wobiano, Yadibetiano. Kakadura, Yadibetiano. Opa, this was sorry for Akunyano. No company Babitra. Oko IMF. Bosome, now I'm Pong Kura, da Obepong, Obeji Kratano. And Unti Adamasi.
In exactly a year and 3 months, the people of Ghana will have the opportunity to make sure that this government that only has shown that the only thing they can do is to show selfishness, greed. This government must give way for the sake of the future of our country. As the minority leader said, this battle is not for you. It's not for me. It's for the children of Ghana. It's for the generations that are behind us, to ensure that this governance that we see in the last 7 years, we no more have a repeat of this kind of government.
We expect Ms. Governor Addison to resign, he and his 2 deputies. We have had enough of their destruction. We've had enough of their chronic corruption. We've had enough of the looting. And we have had enough of the destruction of livelihoods. As we speak, this is a governor who has illegally printed 77 billion Ghana cedis without parliamentary approval, violating Section 30 of his own act. This is a governor who, after printing illegally 77 billion, has managed to make losses of 60.8 billion cedis, negative equity of 55 billion. And in the midst of all the mess, the collapse, the depletion of our national reserves, this governor says that this is a time to be building a new office. Can you believe that? What does he take us for? This guy has absolutely no respect for Ghanaians. He thinks that we are yo-yos. He thinks that Ghanaians are stupid people, that he can come destroy our central bank and then build for himself a new head office.
All right, you're welcome back. So those are some of the videos that were captured during the demonstration yesterday. Officials from Parliament House. So would say that the demonstration obviously was led by minority members who, joined in and told us what they think that the Bank of Ghana is doing to the country in terms of distraction. So that, when the protesters also arrived at the forecourt of the Bank of Ghana, they were expecting that officials will come out to come and receive the petition that members or leaders of the protest had put together. And there's a gentleman who came out to receive this protest who identified himself as head of security. Now, leaders of the protest decided not to hand over the position to this gentleman because they thought that he was not in the rank to receive a petition. And so they will not hand that petition over to him, and therefore decided not to. This person is head of security. We'll have the slides of what we found out about who this person is, in the person of a retired Kwame Asare-Boateng Esquire, who is a wing commander. Kwame Asare-Boateng retired, joined the Bank of Ghana in 2019 as a director in charge of security department. So we're told that he has since transformed the security department into an effective professional unit. What does that really means? Okay, let's go on with that. And it goes on to say that, okay, can we have the next slide? Mr. Kwame Boateng, is prior to this, he served for 26 years at the Ghana Air Force and rose through the ranks, terminating as a wing commander and deputy director of legal directorate at the Air Force headquarters. Goes on. All right, the next one. So he served in various capacities while in the military, notably as intelligence operator and administrator and legal officer. Kwame Asare-Boateng was called to the bar in 2007, having successfully completed the professional law program. And he holds a Master of Arts degree in International Relations and the Bachelor of Arts degree, both from the University of Ghana. This is a bit about Mr. Kwame Boateng, who also, he is a recipient of several awards and UN medals in recognition of his professionalism and dedicated service to the nation and the United Nations. Right. So we have Palgrave Boakye Dankwa, who is spokesperson for Government on Security and Governance. He's joined us via Zoom. I also have Mensa Thompson, Executive Director for ASEPA. He's joined me in the studio. Mensa, you're welcome. Good afternoon to you.
Thank you, Annie.
Right. We're expecting Member of Parliament from Medina constituency, Xavier Sosu, Honorable Member, to also join us here in the studio, and then we'll talk more. Bernard Mona will join us, and we'll say a bit of two. Okay, Bernard is via Zoom. Bernard, thank you for joining us. You're welcome. Good afternoon to you. Okay, so as we wait for Bernard.
Thank you, Annie.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for your time. And you're welcome to Good Afternoon, Ghana. Asepa, how did the demonstration go yesterday for you?
It was very successful.
I don't know why I call you Asepa. Mr. Thompson. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm told, Palgrave, are you there? Good afternoon.
A very good afternoon to you, Annie.
Great, good afternoon. I can hear you. So do stand by. Let me take some words from Okay, Asepa, I think you're still preparing. So, Bernard, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
All right. So tell us how the demonstration went for you. Do you think that overall it was successful? What's next?
In terms of conduct of protesters, in terms of the conduct of the police, in terms of the turnout, one would say that this was a mammoth success. But in terms of the outcome, the governor to resign, his deputies to resign, we did not even meet them, let alone hand over our petition. So to that extent, we did not succeed. The reason for which we are regrouping and to launch probably a bigger scale protest to the governor to demand his resignation. And as I keep saying, if the governor knows what is good for him, his family, and for his reputation, he would better resign before that day comes.
Are you issuing a threat to the governor and his family?
Because the disgrace that will come with his leaving office, his family will not be happy. If that constitutes a threat, yes, there will be huge disgrace, and his family will not be happy. It is not a physical harm, but a disgrace that will accompany it. And so, yes, if that constitutes a threat, I will not subtract it. I will rather add on. And so, obviously, as you are aware, I, as an organizer and a participant of protests in this country, probably from 1995, I have not witnessed the kind of crowd in Ghana's public manifestations like we saw yesterday. Majority of these persons actually walked, because at the time I left DB3, I saw people walking from the Hosu-La communities by themselves to get to the Kwame Nkrumah circle. And this was more than expected. And so I am convinced that many people are in total distaste about the poor performance of the governor. See, Kofi Wampa in the Northeastern Pass, we all joined the chorus to get Kofi Wampa to resign. What was his crime at the time? His crime was that he had made the currency to depreciate. That is $1 to 4.2 Ghana cedis. That was criminal enough to call for his head. The inflation at the time was 14.7 Ghana cedis. These two occurrences made us to cry and to call for the head of Dr. Kofi Wampa. He listened to the cries of the people and resigned. And indeed, when a new manager came to the Bank of Ghana, we saw that things started to show a positive sign. In the case of Addison, it is not the case of where we are having $1 to almost 12 Ghana cedis, which is more than 3 times what Wampa was confronted with. It is not the case where we are having inflation at 14%. It is almost more than 4 times what Kofi Wampa had. Anderson is heading in excess of 40% of inflation. These actually are not the provocating factors. The factors that led to this call had to do with running the Bank of Ghana into a loss of 60.8 billion, printing more money for Ken Ofori-Atta and the government in excess of 80 billion, writing off more than half of that amount as bad debt, which we know that bad debt was simply collected and shared among some people. But of course, when the bank has written without recourse to Parliament, and at the same time, when the governor knows that they have run the bank at a loss, they are building an edifice that is costing more than $300 million. In the face of all this, it is evident that the central bank governor has underperformed. They have been.
So on the back of which, if he doesn't step down, what did you say will happen to his family?
On the spring.
Hello, Bernard. Okay, as we try to restore.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm asking
Hello?
that. Yes, I'm asking on the back of that. If he refuses to step down, what will happen to him and his family?
Well, that's why I'm saying that the disgrace that will be confronting him almost every week, because this protest is now beginning. And so the longer he stays, the more our anger, the more we will intensify our action.
Okay.
And I can assure you that we are not going to rest until Addison do the needful.
Okay. All right. Let me engage. Paragraph, are you online?
I am very much online, Annie.
If you can speak up, please.
I am, Annie. I
Right.
am online.
Okay.
Very good afternoon to you. And,
Good afternoon to you. Paragraph, do you know this person, since you're spokesperson for governance and security, do you know this gentleman who was made to receive the petition, to whom the leaders refused to give this petition to Mr. Asai Boateng? Do you know him?
So, Annie, the Bank of Ghana Director of Security was the one that was designated to receive the petition on behalf of the entire Bank of Ghana as an institution. I'm reliably informed that that's the right person to receive the petition as it relates to the demonstration that was being held. But prior to coming to that, it's important that we commend the Ghana Police Service and IGP Dampari for effectively ensuring that there was a peaceful demonstration yesterday by the minority side of Parliament. The issues that have arisen is obviously the losses that Bank of Ghana has made, and then the financing of government. I think that it's important we put that in perspective. The Bank of Ghana, under the leadership of Dr. Addison, has not financed government from 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, up until the entire global world went into a global pandemic, and then they needed to finance government. In the financing of government, the Bank of Ghana, together with the Ministry of Finance, sent those documents to Parliament for Parliament to approve that. The minority side of Parliament joined the majority side of Parliament to approve that. And then they are on the street demonstrating. It's difficult to understand the rationale and the motive of that. Number two, the losses the Bank of Ghana has made. The question that arises is, did Bank of Ghana make those losses in 2017, in 2018, in 2019, in 2020, in 2021? The answer is no. So why has Bank of Ghana made those losses? Because government introduced a domestic debt exchange program, failing to the passage of the e-levy, which the minority clearly pushed away, frustrated government's implementation plan well over 6 months when it was supposed to have been passed immediately after the 2021 budget that was read in November of that year. Then it was passed in 2022 May. If you look at the entire trajectory, we have given response very strongly to. We've given response very strongly.
Respectfully, if you can reposition yourself,
Can you hear me? Is it clear?
It's better now. It's really clear now. Yeah,
Yes.
go ahead.
So we have looked at the issues very clearly, and we have seen that the Bank of Ghana, the current financial conditions that Bank of Ghana is going through, has no impact at all on the continual operations of the bank. Number one. Number two, we have also stated, and I've stated it over again, it's important to emphasize that there was zero financing of the government of Ghana and President Nana Addo Dankwa's Kufuor government 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2021. There was a zero financing of that. It's also important to be able to state that the Bank of Ghana provided only financing for government for 2020 and 2022 as a result of COVID-19. And so a call of the Bank of Ghana governor to resign, I think is neither here nor there. And I've stated and I've postulated to give an advice to the minority side of Parliament that the Bank of Ghana Act and even the Constitution does permit them to invite the Minister for Finance, the Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta, in addition to the Bank of Ghana governor, to come to the chamber and the floor of the House.
Did you say that the Bank of Ghana did not finance government projects 2020, 2021, 2022, 2019? Is that what you're saying? And did you hear, hold on, and did you hear the World Bank advise that, even though the minority is making these calls, the Bank of Ghana cannot necessarily alienate itself from the current crisis that we're going through, which means that the Bank of Ghana must be involved and assist government solve economic challenges?
Not a problem. I stated that the Bank of Ghana gave zero financing to government in 2017, in 2018, 2019, and 2021. The Bank of Ghana only financed government budget in 2020 and 2022. And the reason was because of the global pandemic. It was because of the global pandemic. And then also government did the domestic debt exchange program. And every single person that is a shareholder of government went through the domestic debt exchange program for us to be able to reach the agreement with IMF.
Okay.
And so I've stated that the minority side of Parliament who approved this financing of government when they sat on the floor of the House, when the financing came to the floor of the House and they approved that. Now they are on the street. And the motive and the rationale is, what's the purpose for the minority side of Parliament to be on the street?
Okay, do hold on. I've been joined in the studio also by the Honourable Member of Parliament for Medina, Francis Xavier Sosu, who has joined us in the studio. Welcome, good afternoon to you. I'm grateful that within a very short period, you still showed up. Right, Asepa, I'll let you come in before I have the Honourable also speak. So let's hear you. It's difficult. I've listened to various analysis from the government side, and it's more like difficult to understand why you were on the street.
Difficult?
Yes.
Well, people like Paul Grave and other government spokespersons may find it difficult because the challenges that we are confronted with, maybe they're exempted because they ride in V8. They have fuel coupons, so they don't buy fuel. You know, they have their...
But members from the minority side enjoy the same thing.
Members of the minority?
Yeah, they ride in V8 too. And they have fuel coupons.
Minority?
They don't get fuel coupons.
Who gives them fuel coupons?
Honorable Xavier, you don't get fuel coupons.
I'm sorry, not.
You don't? Okay. But you ride in V8.
Well, it's loan.
His own paid V8.
It's a loan that we haven't even finished paying.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, but Annie, I think it is important that we note that yesterday's protest was a very historic protest, very, very unprecedented in the history of our dear nation, that we were able to put close to 100,000 people on the streets of Accra yesterday. And it took a lot of effort, a lot of community engagement for people to understand, because we didn't just want people to come out and protest. We just wanted people to understand why they need to step up. And when we went to the communities to engage the people, we saw the anger in the people. And we realized that the people even understood the difficulties that we were enumerating even before we got there. And so we were only going to point them out. And so yesterday, I wasn't surprised at the numbers that poured on the street. And I think it should send a very strong signal to the government. Yesterday, it had to take a lot of patience, a lot of wisdom to control the crowd yesterday. If we hadn't done our job right, maybe today we'll be discussing something else, because the youth were very poised. We had the first confrontation with the police when they had blocked a section of the road, you know, and we told the police that, look, when we are moving forward and you line yourself up in the middle of the road, the youth thinks that you have blocked the road and you are not allowing us to pass. When it happens that way, they put pressure on us because they were coming from behind that they wanted to break, you know, that police wall. So it had to take a lot of explaining to the young people that, look, this is a very peaceful protest. We don't want any eventualities. But the police, you know, was being disingenuous. You realize when we got to the Bank of Ghana new building, you realize we passed in front, we sat down, and we protested there.
Right.
And there was no harm to property, life, or anything. In our letter to the police and our engagement with the police, if we had told the police that we wanted to picket at the new Bank of Ghana office, they would have told us that it was a security zone. But when we didn't tell them that we wanted to protest there, and we told them we'll use Ridge Runabout, and when we got there and we sat down and we protested, did anything happen? It's the same way that when we wanted to go to the main Bank of Ghana, the police were saying...
So you put a fast one on them?
Yes. In fact, we did.
Because that's same as picketing, though.
Yes, we planned everything. We knew that when we tell the police that we want to demonstrate at the new Bank of Ghana building, they would tell us that it's a security zone. And so we told them that we wanted to use Ridge Runabout. And so they ended up blocking the Cathedral Road and blocking the other places and forced us to use the Ridge Runabout, not knowing that, unknowing to them, that is where we had planned to, you know, do our own picketing. And when we got there, we sat down, we picketed, we did all we have to do, and there was no distraction, nothing cost to life or property. So that tells you that the police telling us that the old Bank of Ghana building is a security zone is just an exaggeration, a mere calculated exaggeration to prevent us from demonstrating. And then we control the crowd up to the Bank of Ghana. We had discussed with you in our meetings that we want to go to Bank of Ghana. You said no. You said the Bank of Ghana is a security zone. We asked the police, tell us where the security zone of the Bank of Ghana starts. Then when we get to that place, we will terminate our demonstration there. For close to 2 hours in the meeting with the police could not tell us where the security zone of the Bank of Ghana was. So eventually, we said, okay, if you can't tell us where the security zone is, we will march and use the Bank of Ghana traffic light and turn around and go to the Independence Square. Yesterday, we got to the Yoko intersection, and you have blocked the road. You see, meanwhile, when we were in the meeting, we asked you that if the Bank of Ghana security zone starts from the Yoko intersection, tell us, and then when we get there, we'll terminate. You did not tell us. Now we agree with you that we will use the Bank of Ghana, the Supreme Court traffic light, and turn around and go to the Independence Square. And you come and block us here. And the people were putting pressure on us to break the barricade, and the people were poised. And if you saw the number on the street, there was nothing the police could do. When I saw them sitting on the gun on the FPU vehicle pointing guns at the people, I was just saying, what sort of ridiculous is this? How many bullets are you going to fire before this crowd will overpower you and take away your weapons? And it would have been something else. But
so the leadership, when the police tried diverting you, the leadership controlled the crowd.
We did.
To stick to what the police was asking you to do.
We did.
Okay.
So we did. In fact, yesterday we worked very strong with the police, and kudos to ECP Shraj, who led the operations on the ground yesterday, and he was the director of operations of the Ghana Police Service, and we worked with them to make sure that the crowd kept to the route. Our only disaffection or disagreement is when we got to the Iyoko intersection where they've mounted a barricade, where that was not the agreement we met with them. The earlier agreement we had reached with them was to turn at the Supreme Court traffic light, And then we said, after we made a compromise and say, okay, we will stop here, but bring us the governor. Bring us the governor so that we can present our petition. Then you sent a head of security at the Bank of Ghana, which is very, very insulting. Not to say not to mean disrespect to the head of security at the Bank of Ghana, but when the governor was printing money, he didn't send him to go and print the money. When he was taking reckless decisions, writing off debt and misusing public funds, he didn't send him, the head of security. And so when protesters have come and we want to protest,
how did this head of security introduce himself when he got to you?
He said he's the head of the security and he's a lawyer and he's a wing commander, a retired wing commander of the Ghana Air Force, and he's the head of the Bank of Ghana, and so he has been sent.
No, he's the head of Bank of Ghana security.
Head of security at the Bank of Ghana, and so he's been sent to receive the petition on behalf of the governor, who were at an IMF meeting, which was a blatant lie. There was no IMF meeting in town yesterday. The governor was hiding under his bed yesterday.
That's also
in fact,
a lie.
A day before.
That's also a lie.
Where was he? A day before. They had
hiding under his bed.
They had even contemplated on flying him outside the country the night before the demonstration.
Oh.
So the guy was scared. He was hiding under his bed at the whole time during the demonstration. You see, and then you send a head of security to come to us. When you were printing money, didn't you know that there will be repercussions? Now the people are angry. They come to you. You see, now you're hiding under your bed. This should tell you, and it should serve as a serious warning to all public office holders, especially those in professional capacities, that if you allow the politicians to use you, if you allow the politicians to push you to take reckless decisions and criminal decisions, the consequences will come on you. Look at Addison today. He can't come out. He's still hiding under his bed as at this morning.
Let me engage the member of parliament. You are an honorable member of parliament. Was it disrespectful? Did you feel disrespected when the security man came to you?
Annie, let me say a very good...
No, head of security.
Yeah,
so I don't sound like I'm disrespecting him.
Yeah, a very good afternoon to your cherished viewers. Let me say that what happened yesterday was not only disrespectful to honorable members of parliament that had come there, but it was disrespectful to the party leaders of various political parties and the leaders of various CSOs who had, gathered since morning and marched all the way to that place in anticipation of meeting the BOG boss. I recall that I slept in parliament the night over, and as at 5:30 a.m., I was already on the grounds and working with people who are now arriving to protest. And if I think about people who traveled all the way, some from Kumasi and other places, to just be part of this protest with the expectation that we would have the chance to meet that only person whose misconduct and whose inactions and actions has cost us so much economically in this country, only for you to get there, for you to meet a watchman. Honestly, that was really, really, really disrespectful. With all due respect to all those who are watchmen, that's not to say that watchmen are not good people. They are good people, they are decent people, but in what capacity are they? When you go to any organization, there are people we call that the outer egos of the organization. They are the people who bind the organization by their decision. So we expect that the BOG boss, even if you cannot attend, You could allow any of your deputies. If the deputies were not there, you could find any person in senior
in
management, position or
position.
something. But obviously,
because this head of security
I mean,
does not really take part in the
no,
critical
no. I mean,
decision making.
I mean, if you were to bring us, like, say, head of fiscal monetary. Head of, let's say, a monetary policy or fiscal policy head, or somebody who we know, plays a key role when it comes to taking those critical decisions, because it's these decisions that you have taken that has led to the astronomical levels of, interest rates now, that has led to the high exchange rate that we have. Is this same decision that has led to the levels of inflation, almost a hyperinflation that we are experiencing in Ghana today. So obviously, their conduct yesterday was completely disrespectful, not only to us, but to the entirety of the country. Because you know what we are doing, we are not doing unto ourselves. We are doing for and on behalf of the good people of Ghana. We want to hold the BOG boss accountable for his stewardship for and on behalf of the people of Ghana. So what they did yesterday was a big disrespect to the people of Ghana.
So, Palgrave. Hello, Palgrave.
I'm here. I'm still here.
What is the locus of a head of security of the Bank of Ghana?
Annie, to be honest, you are aware that the Bank of Ghana as an institution is an institution. And I'm very certain that the demonstration was against the institution and not an individual. And so if you have come to the Bank of Ghana, anybody in Bank of Ghana can be sent to receive your petition. And they no mean a person than the director of security. I think that we shouldn't underestimate the role of the individual who was sent to come and receive the petition.
Was he the one who printed
because
the money?
Your petition is against the institution and not an individual.
Was he the one who printed the money?
And to stand on national TV and say that
maybe
the governor of the Bank
maybe
of
to
Ghana
be
is
fair,
hiding under his bed.
maybe to be
I
fair
think
to
it's
the
not
organizers,
there, or it is to
the
perform.
petition.
Say that the governor of the Bank of Ghana is being flown out of the country because he's scared of the demonstration.
Paragraph, to be fair to the organizers, the petition was specific that the governor of the Bank of Ghana and his deputy steps down. So it was targeted. It's not at the bank. It was to the leadership of the bank, being the governor and the deputies.
And you know how it is. You know how it is to receive a petition if the petition is to ask you to step down. If you are in the shoes of the governor of the Bank of Ghana, do you think you would come and receive a petition like that? If you were the deputy of the Bank of Ghana governor, would you come and receive a petition like that?
So what was the PRO? So what was the PRO of the bank? Where was the head of policy committee? Where was maybe a manager, a board chair, a member of the board?
The director of security is a member of the Bank of Ghana and can receive a petition that has been sent to the Bank of Ghana.
Why didn't you send a cleaner to come and receive the petition?
So you see, I think that, Annie, you want to have a very intellectual conversation. You want to uplift and elevate the conversation. To want to say that you should send a trainer to come and receive. I think this heckling is uncalled for. We've got to a stage in the country, really, Annie, where we need to
let me hear him. Paragraph, go ahead.
We have gotten to a stage in the country, Annie, and truth be told, no one takes the rights of a demonstrator away from them. And I've posited and stated that there were reasons why the Bank of Ghana has recorded these losses. There were reasons why the Bank of Ghana financed government of Ghana's budgets for 2020 and 2022. And the Bank of Ghana, together with the Ministry of Finance, sent these budgeting allocations to Parliament. Parliament is not just made up of the majority. Parliament is made up of the majority and the minority. The minority leaders sat there and agreed to it.
When you talk about what they have sent, notification given to Parliament, there's been cases where minority group in Parliament had led press conferences, one too many, and have indicated Bank of Ghana illegal printing of money, which Bank of Ghana responded, in fact, with their first and second response, denied the act. And then later, it was proven in all budgets that were presented. And so I'm not sure if you say that Parliament was notified with Bank of Ghana's decisions, that is entirely correct. That can be actually erroneous.
Annie, any illegality in this country is subjected under the 1992 Constitution and interpretation of the Supreme Court. If the minority says that the Bank of Ghana has performed any illegality, I think that the way to go is to go to the Supreme Court for interpretation.
This is an euphemism. You telling them, if you think the Bank of Ghana has done anything, go to court.
It's not an euphemism. I mean, I think that's the signs on the wall. It's very evident on the wall. And I've stated that, you see, the Bank of Ghana and where we are now, they stated very clearly that none of the effects of the losses of the financing of government's budget for 2020 and 2022 is going to affect Bank of Ghana's operations ongoing as we speak today.
Okay. Xavier, go to court.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite unfortunate. You see, and Pargrave, with all due respect to you, I think that you may have to restrain as to suggestion of options that should be available to the minority, because that is, I mean, it's within our right to choose what course of action we believe would be in the best interest of the people. And I'm saying this because, I mean, that suggestion can be subjected to so many interpretations, which I don't think will be fair even on the judiciary.
Which I've had my own interpretation.
You know,
here,
why would you want us to run to court? Is it because maybe you believe you have the judiciary? Is it because you believe you have the Supreme Court?
But
I mean,
please, let me ask this.
I think that let's restrain ourselves as to the causes of action. We are not going to court on this matter. We are going to continue to protest and protest and protest until the BOG boss and the deputies go. In some jurisdictions, I don't know why Ghana, I just don't know what about us, that we are unable to accept our own mistakes and accept our limitations and humbly bow out and allow others to come and continue. You've badly mismanaged the central bank. And I'm passionate about this because, you see, the central bank is the only bank we have. Mm-hmm. It is under the leadership, it's under your leadership that when other banks, smaller banks had liquidity challenges, mm-hmm. you led the way to collapse or better still, revoke the license of those smaller banks and smaller microfinances. I mean, somewhere we should be collapsing the Bank of Ghana now because it is our central bank and we cannot take that position of collapsing it.
Extreme.
Then those who are at the helm of affairs should move away to allow new management so we can have fresh breath. You know, we can have credibility. We can have credibility in the workings of the BOG. What you are doing now, you are so discredited and you are still hanging there. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I
withdraw Konongukaya. I'm sorry.
Oh, but that is
no. Like it's quiet.
It's not like the ones that you said and apologized.
Yeah, I mean, like sometimes it gets. I mean, that's why I don't like this public affairs program because sometimes when you get a bit emotional about the situation, sometimes it doesn't really make sense. It's incongruous. It's not wise, and yet you know we are in Ghana, so you can't tell everybody that what you are doing is not wise. You just have to. I don't know. It's so frustrating. But we'll continue demonstrating. I mean, I know that my side is preparing to have a meeting, and so we can have a discussion as to our next course of action. But we'll continue demonstrating. And I know that we've also sent a petition to the Office of the Special Prosecutor. We are hoping that petition will be investigated because what the BOG boss and the deputies did are criminal. And so we are going fully to ensure that they are found, if they are really found culpable with this, and if they have to serve jail terms, we make sure that they serve jail terms. There are many young people. Why he was suggesting earlier on is to go to Supreme Court for interpretation. Who is going to interpret what? Interpret what? Are we now going to Supreme Court for Supreme Court to tell us whether BOG actually printed over 77 billion? I mean, to finance deficits in the government. Is the Supreme Court going to tell us that? Yes. I mean, so Supreme Court is now going to tell us that the BOG ran at a loss of about 60.8 or 60.7 billion last year. Is Supreme Court going to tell us that? So please, let's get serious. We are getting serious on this matter because, you know, this government knows that they will lose the 2024 elections. Ghanaians are waiting in anticipation to change this government. This government does not care whether the BOG runs Ghana down, whether the BOG destroys every fiscal or every monetary savaging policies that can help this country, then nobody cares. The only person who has interest in how Ghana turns after 2024 is the minority in parliament. And we are doing that for and on behalf of the good people of Ghana.
Right.
And we'll hold the BOG governor
Right.
accountable.
Right. Bernard, are you still there?
Yes, Annie, I'm here.
Right. Let me have your final words before I let go of you. So with the communication that's coming from Palgrave, how do you also respond to it?
Annie, I did not get your question.
I'm asking, Palgrave says that if you have established acts of illegality by the Bank of Ghana, it's easy that you take it to court for interpretations.
Palgrave is the most comic person in recent times. That he thinks that people.
Bernard, I think that's most unfair. That's most unfair. That's my guess, and I'll require that you accord him some respect, please.
Well, if your guest is behaving a comedian and you say I should not call him a comedian, then sorry, but that is how your guest is behaving. So I will not call him, but his behavior depicts that of a comic. I hope this one satisfies you.
No, it doesn't.
Well, then I'm unable to help you at this moment. I thought
Okay.
I had refrained from using.
So will you want to proceed to court?
For what? We have embarked on a legitimate process. Article 21 of the 1992 Constitution enjoins us to do public manifestations against things that we don't agree with. And we have embarked on that. We are very much aware that President doesn't have the locus within law to sack the governor of the Bank of Ghana, despite that he is the appointer. And that is why we did not take this matter to the presidency. Whilst the Minister for Finance may not also have the same locus to say that I can dismiss the governor, we are very much aware that in some time past, Kofi Wampa, when President Mahama said that Parliament should change the law to enable him sack Kofi Wampa resigned. If public pressure could make Kofi Wampa resign, simply because the cedi to the dollar was 1 cedi 4.2 to 4.2 cedis to the dollar, and inflation was at 14.7%. The reason for which we call for the head of Kofi Wampa. If today inflation is at 40% plus, and the cedi is going to 12 cedis to $1, these two factors alone were sufficient to get Governor Addison out of office. Secondly, if you take that in our history, you run the Bank of Ghana to a loss of 60.8 billion. When you run the bank at a loss, it means that the bank is in liquidity crisis. You still have money to go and be building a 3 billion Ghana cedi head office for the bank for your comfort. That is to tell me that you are a parent. You get up and then your children come back from school and say they have been sacked from school because they have not paid their school fees. And you tell them you don't have money. But the next day, your children see you go and buy a new car. At the time that you owe their school fees, you will be a responsible parent. Is that what you are saying? At the time that the Bank of Ghana is supervising the collapse, or has supervised the collapse of many banks, and now is supervising the collapse of the National Investment Bank, they still have money to go and construct new headquarters. Doesn't that tell you that we have failed the script? And so Addison cannot escape under any front.
Right.
And those who want to go to court, Palgrave and others, can decide to go to court. We have chosen our democratic right established in Article 21 to manifest our unhappiness and to compel his resignation. And I can tell you, we will succeed.
Right. Bernard, I'm grateful for your time. I'll let you go now, and then I'll wrap up with the rest of the guests in the studio. But let me take a quick breather. I'll be back, and then we'll wrap up with Palgrave and the rest too with me in the studio. Welcome back. Let's do a quick one and wrap up. Paragraph, are you there with me?
I am here, Annie.
Right. Paragraph, are you, considering the posture taken by government when persons pour themselves out onto the streets to demonstrate, where we had Occupy Julobi House hashtag, and there was an official from the NPP who described that as meaningless. It didn't make any sense for people to go onto the streets and, demonstrate. Meanwhile, at the same time, you also admit that you say there was Russia and Ukraine war. And so there's hardship in the system. I think that alone should even justify persons pouring out onto the streets to demonstrate, not so?
Annie, there is not a single government in this world that is pleased with citizens going on the street to demonstrate. Whether in good times, in bad times, there's not a single government. And our government is also not pleased that Ghanaian people, minority side of government, in parliament and in opposition, would hit the streets to demonstrate. We are not pleased with that at all, which is why we always want to resort to the fact that the issues that are being risen, which are being addressed by our competent government under the leadership of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, if those issues are being addressed, then there wouldn't necessarily be a need for people to be on the street. If those issues have been clarified, then there wouldn't also be a need for people to be on the street. If the issues have been clarified, overly clarified, and
I don't know what you described as overly.
I'm
not sure if you have followed the Bank of Ghana's.
No one takes away the right
Paragraph.
of Ghanaians to demonstrate.
Paragraph. I'm not sure if you have followed the Bank of Ghana's releases, and I don't know what you describe as overly clarified. What does that mean?
And it means it means in the manner in which it means. Clarification has been brought to bear of the issues that have arisen from the minority side of parliament and organized CSOs like ASEP's CSO. We have clarified the issues. Government has given clarity to how Bank of Ghana arrived at these losses. Government has given clarity as to how Bank of Ghana financed government's budget for 2020 and 2022. Bank of Ghana has given clarity that the bank did not finance government budget for 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2021. And so there's been a lot of clarification to the issues that have arisen. And so we are not pleased that people go on the street. We do not wish that people go on the street, which is why we ask that they restrain and retreat from the street.
Okay.
So whatever issues that they do have, they to present those issues in the systems that have been put in place.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Paragraph, for speaking to us. Asepa, just about a minute and then I'll have...
Yes, I think Paragraph is telling us that because the Bank of Ghana has issued some bogus statement, we should be satisfied with the issues. If we were satisfied, we wouldn't be on the streets. The laws are very clear that the law has always advocated for a zero central bank financing, and that at any point when the central bank wants to finance government, the financing should not be more than 5% of the previous year's revenue.
Right.
And that the Bank of Ghana Act even criminalizes, the excess printing of that. And so I don't know what interpretation Mr. Boakye Dankwa needs in respect of this. The law says it's a criminal offense. So in effect, we have a criminal sitting at our central bank. Why should he continue to sit there? In other jurisdictions, I mean, he wouldn't have to be there even to entertain a protest. The president would have fired him long ago. We've seen people in this country lose their jobs for far less offenses. You see, so the non-removal of Addison from office in the midst of his non-resignation after this criminal conduct is a tacit admission on the part of President Akufo-Addo that he's a direct beneficiary of this reckless and needless printing of money, and that he printed the money on the instructions of President Akufo-Addo. And that is why they are unable to fire him. Otherwise, if the guy cannot resign, the appointer is there who can fire him at every time. Ken Ofori-Atta should not be left out of this. He's a direct beneficiary. The Dr. Bawumia, who is the head of the economic management team, is a direct beneficiary. If you look at, and Pogre was saying that the Bank of Ghana did not finance the government, it's only in 2020 because of COVID. That's a lie.
Yes.
The Bank of Ghana began this reckless printing of money in 2019 after the IMF program ended in 2018, and they went on a borrowing spree. So while the finance minister was on the bond market borrowing recklessly, the central bank governor too was at the Bank of Ghana printing money recklessly for the government.
Right.
And it is the combination of these two reckless activity from the fiscal front and the monetary front that has combined to give us this catastrophe of an economy
Right.
that we have today. And so the consequences must be there. And so we are appealing to Addison to come out from under his bed. He cannot hide under his bed forever. Come out and face the consequences of your actions. You have run this country into a mess. Inflation have wiped away people's capital, people's investment, people's pensions are under threat, people's life savings are under threat.
Let me
You have to come and face the consequences of your actions.
If you can give us a word about your apology of the comments you made.
Well, I mean, I think that I spoke yesterday out of a lot of anger, anger against the colossal mismanagement at the BOG, except that I think I chose words which were not palatable. Many have condemned, rightly so, because someone who also mentored a number of young people on almost all angles, some religious lines, some moral lines, ethical lines, and all that. I don't think that is a kind of legacy I want to leave for any young generation. So I sincerely take back those words and then apologize. I take full responsibility of those words. I believe that as young leaders, one of the principles I've always believed in is if you don't learn to take responsibility of your mistakes and take responsibility of your inactions, it's very difficult for you to overcome those mistakes and become better. Unfortunately, this posture, I don't see it most often in our body politic. Even when people are failing completely, they simply do not really care. They don't want to take responsibility of their actions. And I think that, this reflection should be a motivation to other people. I'm hoping that Dr. Addison will learn from this, this approach of eating a humble pie when you have gone wrong. And also know that despite all the learnings he's done, all the experiences he's gotten, sometimes you can get it wrong. We are humans. We can't always get it right.
Right.
So if Dr. Addison, you've got it wrong on this note, we'll beg you that you will leave the BOG so others will come and continue. Right. Thank you.
Right.
Yes,
I'm grateful that the organizers of the protest have done well by not handing over the petition to the BOG security head. Dr. Addison and the deputies cannot run away from accountability forever. Alhaji Haruna sent this in, but I've also had, Asapa, that's my time is up. I've even had extra time. Right. So Mensa Thompson is Executive Director for ASEPA. I had the Honorable Member of Parliament for Medina, Francis Xavier Sosu, join us in the studio, and also Bernard Mona of PNC joined us. Pargrave Wachidankwa also joined us. He's spokesperson for governance and security, explaining some of the things that we have asked him of. This has been Good Afternoon, Ghana. Thank you for joining us. My name is Ania Fampo for Entertainment Review. Is next.